Welcome back, everybody. So today we are going to explore some more you guessed it, abstract art. This week's style will be in the style of you. So we're going to be creating something that looks like this. It's got a lot of shapes and colors. I did find this project on the website Art is Fun, How to Paint Abstract Art. You can go there and check it out. If you have any other questions other than the instructions that are given here. Some supplies you're going to need for this project will be crayons or colored pencils. You can use markers, you can use oil pastels, but today I'm going to start with paint, and I'm going to use their acrylic paints. So you can use paper or stretch canvas. I'm going to use the stretch canvas. So you're going to pick out your paint colors, you'll need water and paint brushes, and you'll also need a palette. This did take a couple days, so I needed something with a lid. So the first step we're going to do is create our frame. So that's going to go along the outside edges of your paper or your canvas. So here I'm just mixing up the color I chose to do my outside framework on. And then I'm just going around the edges of my canvas. First, making sure I get the sides. So if you're using paper, you don't have to worry about the actual sides of the paper, but if you are using canvas, make sure you do paint the sides of your canvas. That way they're not left white. So then once I had the frame done, I went in and gave it a shape. Now with a pencil, you want to draw some large shapes on your paper or canvas. These shapes can be organic or geometric, just remember to keep them large. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to fill in those large shapes with solid color. So I'm just getting my acrylic paint ready. Then we're going to go one shape at a time and fill it in completely with one color. One shape, one color. Some of these colors I did have to go over 2 and 3 times. I did wind up adding white to a couple of the colors, like this blue that you're seeing now, because it was very translucent. Take your time with these, make sure you're staying inside the lines that you've created. I did notice this color right here that I'm using. It is actually a green color, but the lighting makes it look yellow. So it kind of looks similar to the yellow that's already on there. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add more shapes now on top of those larger shapes. Again, I kept mine pretty organic. They were rounded shapes, not a lot of hard edges. And this is where I did start to add the colors of black and white. Again, I'm cutting some of these shapes in half with lines. Creating new shapes on top of the colors I already have. So this is going to just be a creative portion for you guys. You guys are going to decide what kind of shapes you're going to create, how big they are, in what direction they go, what colors you're going to use. I was not going off of any kind of template. I was just kind of creating the shapes as I went. My shapes are geometric and some of them are organic, so you guys can play around with what kind of shapes you're going to put on your paper and canvas. I did do some lines, some dots. I overlapped colors. So moving into the next step, we're just adding even smaller shapes and more details. Using the same color palette or the same set of colors, just putting them on top of each other. And this project should take you quite a while. This was a 2-week project if we were in school. But since you guys have 7 days, you guys have a little bit longer of a stretch to get this one done. And it will be done in 1 week. And then this is the final step where you're adding even smaller shapes and more details. Again, sticking with the same colors. So as you can see, you just keep building on top of each other. Don't be afraid to experiment with colors. Don't be afraid to experiment with the shapes. Remember, fill in all of your paper. There should be no white on the paper. We want to fill the entire canvas or paper with color. You can use black and white, but we want to get as much detail as possible into these creations. So here's the final painting. Give you a close-up so you can see all the detail in there. Again, it's shapes on top of shapes and color on top of color. I want you guys to get real creative with that. So what I'm doing here is a demonstration in marker so that you guys can see that it can be done in marker. Again, crayon, color pencil, whatever you guys have at home. I know we don't have a ton of supplies with you. All of our supplies were in school. But I do want you guys to notice that this can be done in any medium with any supplies that we may have around the house. So again, this is marker. Now with this one, I did choose a certain amount of colors. Here I am drawing my large shapes after I've done my frame. Now remember, if you are using marker to go in one direction, so here I'm just mapping out my larger colors. I think I have 5 colors there, yep. Yellow, orange, green, blue, and I had a pink color as well. So that was my large colors. Now I'm going to go back in and put my second set of shapes on top of my largest set of shapes. Again, this is all done in marker. If you have more than the 8 colors of marker, even with the 8 colors of marker, just remember to use your lightest colors first. So your lightest colors should be your large shapes. And then you'll add your darker colors on top of that. So again, I'm just making large shapes and lines on top of the already large shapes that I've had. And I'm still sticking with the same 5 colors. They just happen to be a little bit darker. So again, feel free to turn your paper, get a different perspective on it. So here I've moved to the smaller details, starting to fill that in. I've also added black and dark blue to my light blue already. And I believe I also used a darker green on top for the smaller details. We are almost finished here. Again, even with the markers, this one took me about an hour, hour and a half. So if it's taking you any less than an hour, we aren't really following through with all of the directions. We want to make sure we're completing everything. So here's the completed marker project. Again, you can still see all the colors, shapes, and details. And there's both projects together. So if you want to do more than one and you have time to do more than one, absolutely experiment with that. But you're only required to turn in one. And remember, have fun and be creative.